My name is Alison. Hi, everyone. My name is Alison Oberne. I am the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies at the College of Public Health at the University of South Florida. I also have been the president of the Delta Omega Tau chapter for several years and have been really excited to continue engaging with students and across Delta Omega. I hope that you all, come check out the booth while you are at APHA if you are able to join us. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you some of the tips that I have for how to handle a professional conference. So hopefully you can see my screen now. And let me just drag.
And Alison, did you share the sound?
I did. I think it's working.
Perfect.
We will find out, right? Technology is always something that keeps us on our toes. So I have crafted this presentation based on APHA since it is in a little less than a month now. But please know that anything that we talk about today can be applied to any conference, whether it is local at your home institution, regional, national, or international as well. So the first thing that I want to do is congratulate those of you who are going to be presenting at APHA. It is such a wonderful accomplishment. And if you are presenting in the Delta Omega poster session, I look forward to coming and seeing your poster. If you are presenting at an oral or a different poster session, it really is a huge accomplishment and a testament to your hard work. If you have presented in the past, I'm sure you are familiar with knowing how exciting it can be, the opportunity to meet with other folks, but also I feel like the stress in the beginning kind of melts away because it really is a chance to get to connect with others. So if you are presenting at APHA, if you want to kind of drop it in the chat and maybe some of you can check each other out while you are there. That's one of the things that's very exciting about APHA is that there are so many folks there to communicate with, and sometimes it feels a little overwhelming because it's so large, but everyone is so friendly. And I have found that to be true at every professional conference I've been to over the past 15 plus years. So I said that I was going to talk a little bit more specifically about APHA since with Delta Omega, that is kind of one of our flagship events, and being able to go and interact with everyone in the field of public health. And what a great opportunity for that to be coming within the next 3.5 or 4 weeks. So we're going to be in Washington, D.C. this year, which is very exciting. It rotates around the country. It hops from coast to coast and then in the central region. And so it is back in DC. It hasn't been there for a while. And it's a great opportunity for those of you who have never been to our nation's capital, or for those of you that are on the East Coast, travel's a little easier. And for those of you on the West Coast, it's an exciting opportunity to get to come over to the other side of the nation. One of the things that you will want to think about is just the sheer location of everything. So keep that in mind as you are navigating the travel arrangements that you're working through, right? Thinking about timing, thinking about how long it takes maybe from, airports to metros to different types of public transit or walking, and keep that in mind as you're planning your packing. I think that that's really important with whatever city we're visiting. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to do, which is probably easy for all of you, to consider is why is it that we attend professional conferences? And there are so many different reasons that this might happen, and some of you might have additional reasons beyond the ones that I have listed. The first is to expand your professional network. This is a great opportunity for networking. This is where experts from across not just the nation, but the world can really come together and talk about newest innovations in research, in practice, in policy. And we can see people who come from all different sectors who have an opportunity to collaborate with each other and to really communicate about what is really exciting at this point in time in history. You can also learn from experts. Maybe you're not engaging in that one-on-one environment, but you want to soak in as much information as possible. There are a lot of different opportunities to learn from a variety of individuals who might be within your specific area of interest, or that might help you expand some areas beyond what you're used to. I will certainly say that there have been times that my feet have dictated sessions that I land in. If I was really tired of walking and my feet were hurting, I stopped into a room and I had the most amazing session learning about some new documentaries and got to learn about topics that I wouldn't previously have learned about. So no matter what you end up seeing, you're going to learn something no matter what. And it'll also give you a chance to share your expertise. So, for those of you who are going to be presenting, I didn't see anyone drop anything in the chat yet, but you still might if you are so inclined. You get to share and you get to talk about what you have been doing and how you are contributing to the knowledge base. And people might be able to then think of you as that expert in a given area. For those of you who are in master's programs, doctoral programs, postdocs, if you are new in the public health, arena, this is a really great opportunity for you to find your niche and to create that space where people want to come to you to find a lot of information and to gain new resources. It can also enhance your career because there are a lot of potential employers that come at the expo. So you can connect not just with academic institutions, but also with the industry folks. They are there. They are great opportunities to connect, to learn about different job employment opportunities and places that you might not have previously considered, maybe in the governmental, sector, in non-for-profit or for-profit. There are a wide array of different partners who come to conferences such as these. And then last is to leverage your partnerships. So how is it that you can continue to expand the relationships that you are building and continue to make those connections? So attending professional conferences, I find, can be a really robust way to also reignite your passion. Sometimes we get so used to the day-to-day work that we might get stuck in the monotony or we might get overwhelmed. And going to conferences always makes me much more excited, and it renews my interest and passion in everything that I'm doing. So if any of you are feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed right now, hopefully in a month you'll feel more invigorated as you come home from APHA. So the way that I've organized this presentation is looking at it from kind of pre-conference, during conference, and post-conference. So we're right now in this pre-conference phase where we're starting to think about what we're doing to plan our, trip to APHA. I was actually sitting last night trying to go through the agenda, trying to think about all the things that I would go and do. So hopefully, if you have started thinking about, what you're going to do at the conference, wonderful. If you haven't started thinking yet, now's a great time. Okay, so here's the first thing: review the program and create your schedule. This is really cool. So APHA is not alone in this. There are other conferences that do this as well. The bigger the conference, the more resources that they may have. So this might be easier if you're going to national or international conferences as compared to a regional conference. So there is on the website, if you log into APHA, you're able to build your schedule, and then you can see all of it come together. One of the things that I like to do is I like to go through and I look at everything and I pick all the things that look of interest to me. And then I start to see where there are overlaps and try to prioritize. I certainly recommend being a little bit more inclusive at this phase because, again, you never know what's going to happen when you are in DC. You might find that something piques your interest in a way you hadn't expected. And so be very flexible, right? This can change at any point in time. But there are tons of different options available for you. You'll notice that you can search this program by a lot of different features. There are the key events. So think about those major types of things: the opening session, closing sessions, sessions that are really oriented to think about how APHA and the conference were organized in a holistic sense. And then things are also parsed out based by different groups. So you might have an interest in epidemiology or biostatistics. So you might search within those given sections. If you're interested in health promotion, you might search in some of those sections. So it allows you, again, that opportunity. If you are really interested in connecting with someone who you've been reading their research, you can search them, right? So you can actually search people. You can look up anyone who is registered to attend the conference, and it will indicate if they are presenting at different sessions. So you can tag that within your program. You can also look up some of your friends, right? If they've gone to other universities and you want a chance to connect with each other, you can see when they're presenting. Lots of different ways to build your schedule. One cool thing that they did also have, and I was playing around with it a little bit before today's session, is you'll see this member journey game. In the member journey game, it's an opportunity for you to go to different locations. I think it said there were 7 different places. And if you go to these different places and complete the journey, then you can enter into a drawing for some pretty cool prizes. I think I saw like a Fitbit was one of the prizes. And they will do that drawing. I want to say it was after Tuesday. So if you're interested in kind of being a little competitive and getting the most out of your experience, you might want to join the member journey game. So this is your friend. This is a great resource. You don't want to print the program. There's way too many things. We're trying to save the environment. So I do encourage you to log into the program and start creating your schedule in a digital way. So as you're working through that, you're also going to start thinking about your packing, and thinking about what you might want to bring for your trip might include a lot of different pieces. So I've added onto this slide things that I consider when I go to a variety of different conferences. One of the things that's really important is to think about what you're going to wear. You're going to want to bring clothes that are, something that you want to make a positive impression, right? You don't have to be wearing a business suit every day, right? You don't have to be extremely formal all the time, but we certainly want to make a positive impression as we're meeting different folks. So thinking about, if you plan to wear, slacks, that they're not kind of ripped or frayed or holey. If you have those and they're the aesthetic, you might want to save that for going out on the town at night. But, during the conference itself, thinking about what is it that you can wear that will allow you to be that wonderful first impression. Also think about the fact that you were in this large convention center, and a lot of times these buildings can be very cold, so you might want to bring a jacket or a sweater, a scarf, a shawl, something that might help you for some sort of temperature control. I find that some rooms are colder than others, and so it's always nice to bring a couple of layers to help you. The convention centers are huge, and not just that, going to be in Washington, D.C., which is a very walkable city. So think about comfortable footwear. You will probably be taking over 10,000 steps a day, easy, if any of you track your steps. It is very easy to get all of your steps in without ever leaving the building, because these buildings are massive. So I do encourage you to wear comfortable shoes. Again, for, thinking about longevity and thinking about making sure that you've got the stamina to stay from, morning to late afternoon or early evening. When you are packing, you're also going to want to pack a day bag. So you're going to, have your stuff at a hotel or at a friend's house or wherever you're staying, but you're going to have a bag that you are going to bring a bunch of things, because you might not be back at wherever you're staying for 10 plus hours. And so in that day bag, you're probably going to want to include some technology, right? So if you're bringing a laptop and a tablet, if you've got your cell phone, whatever technology you need, notebooks, pens, if you have anything that you might need for the day. Water bottle, reusable water bottle. There's usually water fountains everywhere. If you want to bring a granola bar or something, then you'll have that in your day bag. But then also don't forget to bring any of your chargers, because I've certainly been in many of these conferences where you see people sitting on the floor right next to an outlet and they've got their charger, right? And they're plugged in, because you might be using your phone a lot, especially if you're trying to do navigation between, your hotel and the convention center, and then you're trying to figure out food or, a variety of different things. If you have a portable battery pack, or, make sure to bring your chargers with you. Also, one thing to think about is making sure to bring any medications that you might need. Prescription medications most important, obviously, because those are harder to get. Over-the-counter meds can be easier to get, but sometimes you don't want the inconvenience if you have, a tendency to get headaches, or if you have acid reflux, you need a Band-Aid because your feet, you get a blister. Just kind of bringing some of those medications can be really nice and helpful. I'm married to a nurse. I tend to do a lot of med packing when I go on any trip, just to make sure. You never know if you don't sleep well when you're not at home and you want to bring your melatonin. If you get nauseous, bring your anti-nausea medicine. All of those can be really helpful for you. And people would probably love to have you as a resource if they also are not feeling tip top the entire time. If you're staying with roommates, sometimes that is very affordable and it makes going to these types of conferences much easier. Think about, do you need anything to help with noise canceling? Do you need to bring headphones? Do you need earplugs? You might want to check in advance if any of the roommates snore, right? So thinking about some of those things. Yeah, for many of you, you're probably still taking classes, so you might need to find some quiet time or place to do some schoolwork or be communicating in advance with any of your professors so that they know that you are at a professional conference and if you can make any accommodations. I always encourage reaching out early in order to have those conversations so that there are no surprises. You really want to be able to take full advantage of the conference while you're there and not have to multitask too much if necessary. And then the last thing that I'd like to add is just the idea of food, right? I mean, depending on the city, food varies dramatically. I'm trying to think. I think it was in Boston where there were not a lot of food choices near the convention center. And so we were restricted with the options that we had while we were, in the thick of things. Some cities have restaurants more easily accessible than others. But we're also going to be in Washington, D.C., so the prices might be more expensive than you are used to. So think about, how do you want to navigate the meal situation? Are you the type of person who prefers to, pack some granola bars or try to find a little market or a place to grab some healthy snacks and then only have to eat out less during the day? So you might want to think about that. And that can have an impact also depending on where you're staying. If where you're staying has a kitchen or not, that might play a role as well. But I think that the food availability can sometimes be an issue that students don't often think about before going to a conference. So all of this kind of pre-packing and planning can be really essential for you in order to maximize your success. Okay, so that's really the crux, I think, of preparation before you get to the conference is really making sure that you are looking through the program in a really intentional way and making sure that you are packing all of the things that you need to be successful. Fortunately, being in a large city, you should be able to find anything you need if you forget it, but there's always a price to pay associated with that. So now imagine it's time. We are at APHA, we're excited, we are dressed for success, and we want to make a positive impression. So what are some of the things that I recommend? One is to be open to new experiences, to new topics, to new connections. And sometimes what can be most important is really taking a back seat for a minute to think and observe and then start to engage because there's so many different things that are available for you. It might feel a little overwhelming. So trying to just take all of that in before really getting overwhelmed, I find can be really helpful. There are a lot of really wonderful people who want to pay it forward, right? A lot of times, many of us who are in further along in our careers, we did not get there alone and we had a lot of mentors along the way. And so this can be a great opportunity for you to continue to find additional mentors. Those might be in some of the conference sessions that you attend. It might be at some of the socials. It might be colleagues who are, introduced to you from some of your current mentors or student peers. So think about how you can continue to connect with others. Keep track of time. There are so many sessions and there are a lot are happening concurrently. And so be aware of time, especially if there are aspects that you need to be wary of, like presenting yourself. Give yourself ample time to get where you need to present, have prepared different backups. I've certainly been in oral presentation sessions where there have been technology challenges. I like to route out where I'm supposed to be before I have to be there if I'm presenting, doing a poster or an oral presentation, so that you don't get frazzled at the last minute. And pace yourself, right? So the conference starts on Sunday and it closes out on Wednesday. That's a lot of time for you to really get engaged and involved. I certainly don't recommend super late nights every night, because then you're not going to have enough energy to continue to persist throughout the entire conference. But it can be really nice to balance everything that you're learning and experiencing. And then, of course, have fun. I think that that is one of the most important things when going to a conference, is making sure that you are, enjoying yourself. And if you're having any of those challenges, lean into your peers, right? Whether they are faculty mentors, whether it's students, anyone that you are there with, or if you are not going with a robust group, please, find people who help you to feel comfortable and to have a successful conference. Now, one of the other ways to think about the conference is the different ways that it's oriented. So the very first picture on the left is the expo hall and poster sessions. So this is all typically in one huge, I would call it somewhat like an arena within the convention center. Depending on the nature of the convention center, it might be, on a lower level, it might be tucked in a corner, but it is usually huge. We're talking like a football field, where you have a variety of different areas laid out. And again, when we were talking before about how there are different schools, so if you are, I see some graduate students who are in here, someone through their MPH program, someone who's currently doing their DRPH, kind of people who are working with different organizations. We've got all of those represented. So you'll have health departments, you'll have nonprofits, you'll have community agencies, the industry. What they usually like to do is try to put all of the schools in the same area. So if you're interested in looking at different programs, those are usually in one area of the expo hall. And then the posters, again, depending on the nature, they might have them split up. Sometimes they'll do them in kind of different spokes, and there might be a couple of different wings. This is where, if you're presenting a poster, making sure that you know where to go, because you might think you're on one corner of the expo hall and you're really in a different corner, and that could be, a 5 or so minute walk. Take your time there. When you're packing, if you like swag, leave some room. There's a ton of swag that you can get from a variety of different tables, from different schools, programs, everything that's out there. And so definitely leave yourself some room if that's something that you're interested in bringing back home. Then there are the oral sessions, and the oral sessions are usually organized in about 3 or 4 speakers per session. Usually they're grouped together based on similar topics. And those can be a great way to dive a little bit deeper, have a little bit more of a context in being described the information as compared to the poster sessions. Poster sessions are great for one-on-one interactions if you really want that opportunity to engage in a more intimate setting. And then there are socials and receptions. So those are typically in the late afternoon, early evening on different nights of the week. Schools do different socials, different programs or organizations do socials. And so that can be a great way to, again, have fun, right? And connect with people on a more personal level. These are oftentimes included in the program as well. So as you search through the program, you can find those socials included in there. Okay, so we want to leave a lasting impression. We want to put our best foot forward. So how are we going to do that? We are going to perfect our elevator pitch. Some of you might have done this already. Some of you might be a little bit newer to crafting your elevator pitch. Its title, of course, comes from literally you have 30 seconds while you're in an elevator with someone. And we want to make sure that we are having the most positive interaction that we can. So I have a little video for us, and this is basically what not to do during an elevator pitch. And then it tells us how to make it better. Oh, sorry.
How to fail your elevator pitch. Hi. Hi.
Hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah. I'm good too. I'm working on a project.
I'm sorry, you're gonna hear me
Very
laugh.
good.
Yeah, and
Good. I'm not sure I know you.
oh, yes. Hi. I'm Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
I'm Dr. David Acosta.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've seen your
Nice
picture
to
up on
meet
the
you.
walls. Yeah, it's nice to meet
Hopefully
you.
not the post office.
No. It's you know, I was working on this project though. I wanted to tell you about. It's about so we're
Oh,
doing.
I'm sorry, this is my floor.
Well,
Nice to
I'll
meet
catch you next
Dan.
time on the
Okay,
elevator
nice to
then.
meet you.
Let's try that again. How to nail your elevator pitch.
Hi, Dr. Costa. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm good.
I'm Daniel Hashimoto.
Hi, Daniel.
I'm the Surgical Artificial Intelligence and Innovation Fellow at Massachusetts General Hospital.
Oh, okay.
That's actually great that we're running into each other here on the elevator. I've been meaning to talk to you.
Oh, great.
So
Okay.
our group is actually working on a project that is bringing together multiple institutions to
Okay.
collaborate on a data sharing project. And we're collecting video from the operating rooms to better understand performance and assessment. And your hospital is actually quite famous for its operative recording capabilities.
Thanks for noting that. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
so I wanted to talk to you because I would love to chat more about potentially getting your institution involved in our collaboration.
Okay.
I think it would really go a long way toward helping us move toward better and safer patient care and better training for our residents and our medical students. If it'd be okay, I'd love to exchange business cards and follow up with you by email to schedule a time to chat.
Good. And my executive coordinator
Perfect.
can work out something.
Absolutely.
together.
Oh, that's
nice
fantastic.
to meet you.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward to
much.
talking to you.
Thank you.
All right.
So that gives us a really good insight to what not to do and then how to fix an elevator pitch. So obviously we saw in the beginning that if we don't think about this in advance, it is very easy to get flustered, to get overwhelmed, and to not take full advantage of that opportunity. So what I like to encourage students to do is actually take some time to draft this. Usually what they end up doing is actually doing it on their phones, and they end up having that readily available just as a way to kind of think through what they want to say. I certainly don't recommend having a very prescriptive script because then you're going to feel forced to read your script or get flustered if you're not able to follow it precisely. Instead, what's more important is to have some bullet points. And you might have different elevator pitches depending on who you're talking to. If you're interested in getting a job, that elevator pitch is very different than if you're trying to look for a future a PhD mentor, right? So thinking about it and tailoring it appropriately is going to be essential as you're crafting those elevator pitches. One of the other things that we don't necessarily want to do is just verbalize our resumes, right? A lot of times when you're interacting with people, they might ask you to share your resume and that they can very easily read. And what you want to do is take full advantage of the opportunity of how to contextualize who you are and how to create more of a connection with that individual. What is it that you want? What is it that you need? Do you need guidance or mentorship? Do you need a job, right? Are you looking for a postdoc? So creating that opportunity and that connection can be really beneficial. So I absolutely encourage you to take some time to do this. What I like to do is practice it when I am driving the car. So if any of you are commuters and you're driving, into work or into school, I usually turn the radio off and talk to myself in the car, and nobody is the wiser, right? They think I'm on the phone or I'm singing along to music, and that can help you to get a little bit more comfortable and see what kind of rolls off the tongue. So I absolutely encourage you to work on this over the next couple of weeks. The other thing that you want to do is to be able to make that connection. So if you're in an elevator, you're not necessarily reaching out to somebody's executive coordinator, but what you can do is share a business card. Some of you might have traditional business cards, which is great. I haven't actually had a traditional business card since pre-COVID. I have no idea where mine are, and they have changed as my position has changed over the years. And when I was at the Florida Public Health Association, I was actually introduced to this free app called Blink. And Blink is an app that you can use to create a digital business card. So if any of you are interested in connecting with me, this is the QR code that when you scan that, it will bring you to my virtual business card. And then what that does is it can create it as a new contact in your phone. And the way that you create your virtual business card is wholly dependent on you. It can be your telephone number, your email address, if you have a website, if you want to include your CV. There are a lot of different ways to customize this virtual business card. And what's really cool is you can add it to your wallet. So I am an iPhone user, and as I was making some small updates to my virtual business card, I added it to my wallet so I don't have to, fumble around for it when I'm meeting new people. I can easily tap, open it up, and say, "Hi, let's connect," and offer that share. I find this to be helpful because, and I was trying to search through LinkedIn, but they don't really have an easy opportunity for doing that. But then you could further connect with someone on LinkedIn based on having their contact information, such as this. So this might be something that you're interested in pursuing, or a different type of program that may or may not be similar to Blink can allow you to continue to have that connection when the conference ends. Now, after the conference, you'll want to share your experience with others. Not everyone has the benefit of being able to travel to a conference. It can be a really great opportunity for you to bring back knowledge, information, or swag to some of the folks who are not able to travel. This can be an opportunity that might make them excited to go in a future year if they are able. So this can be maybe an informal, community discussion. Maybe you offer to host a presentation in a student organization or in any of your courses. Thinking about some of your departmental meetings, that might be a really great way to show some initiative in some of your organizations or institutions, or pay it forward to other students as well. You'll also want to follow up on those networking connections. So if you've gone through and you've taken anyone's business card, or if you've, shared any of those blinks, joining their LinkedIn pages, right? Doing anything that you can do in order to enhance that network. You can also then, of course, start updating your LinkedIn profile. You might want to connect with your wider network and share with them the opportunities and experiences that you've had. If you presented, post some pictures of you at your poster, right? Or at your oral session, so that you can share highlights and insights that you've done in a professional capacity, where others might be able to see that and be able to learn a little bit more about who you are in that broader sense. One thing that I like to do is I like to give an opportunity for people to share advice with each other. Now, as Allison said earlier, it's a webinar, so unfortunately we can't talk. I've done some of these sessions in the past where people were able to turn on their mics and talk to each other. Since we don't have that capability available, I'm hoping that some of you might want to type in the chat if you have additional recommendations that you would like to share with one another based on your experiences in attending different conferences. What would you encourage people to do that I hadn't considered? I certainly hope that you can provide those resources to one another, and maybe not today, but as you talk with others from your institutions. Some institutions are really great about creating some sort of, maybe a listserv or an email with everyone who's going. Other institutions might have a little bit less formality associated with it. So you might want to think about how is it that you can capitalize on those connections before you even leave your hometown or your institution. So if anyone wants to type any of those in the chat, that would be awesome. And then I did also want to make sure to highlight 2 of our sessions that will be at APHA for those of you who will be attending. I know some of you aren't able to make it this year. Thank you so much for joining us anyways. But for those of you who are going to be coming to APHA, the Delta Omega poster sessions are on Monday morning from 10:30 to 11:30. Correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, but there are 3 poster sessions. They're all held concurrently, and they are usually in the same area, so you can wander around and see all of those wonderful posters. And these were submissions from students across different institutions who are Delta Omega members. And then the student presenters, who I hope some of you are with us right now, will also then be recognized at the Delta Omega reception. You do not have to be a Delta Omega member to come to our reception, but we do hope you want to join a chapter that might be available to you. Our reception is also on Monday, and that's from 4:30 to 6 p.m. You can find both of these events in the program. Go ahead and give them a little, add to your personal program. And hopefully Allison and I will have the opportunity to see you in just a few weeks. So that is all of the information that I have to share with you today, but I am happy to entertain any questions that you might have. We have a Delta Omega booth in the expo hall if you have additional questions. I'll be roaming around at the conference and look forward to hopefully seeing many of you there.
Well, thank you so much, Alison. That was terrific. I always enjoy your presentation, and I was laughing along at the video. I was on mute though. We also, for those of you that were on today, we also have another webinar in 2 weeks that you'd be interested in creating a professional CV or resume. So another colleague of ours has done that one the last few years, and I always learn something at that as well. So I hope you'll be able to join us. So thanks very much, everybody, and we will see you very soon.